Hello everyone. So I got myself a bottle of Samsara Extrait, and albeit this is not the subject of today's video, this bottle of Samsara Extrait did help me to understand further the sandalwood at Guerlain, and not only sandalwood in general, because this is very gorgeous when it comes to sandalwood, as you all may know. But the subject of today's video is a fragrance that's like no other to me, and we're talking about L'Instant de Guerlain pour Homme. This is how I came to know Guerlain, actually. This is the first fragrance I ever smelled from this house. I remember, God, it was somewhere in 2005 maybe, and this was new back then because this was launched in 2004, and we had a perfume shop and they held L'Instant de Guerlain pour Homme, and I couldn't even tell you if they held other Guerlains because I hadn't smelled anything from them back then. So you know, it's funny that I think about this now. So L'Instant de Guerlain was something I liked very much from the first time I smelled it. However, I didn't buy it right away. In my heart, I guess, the battle was won between this one and Homme, the eau de toilette, because that was the only one available back then. And I purchased Homme, and I got myself this bottle back in 2013. So this was my this was my first bottle ever. I still think I have some, maybe 30 milliliters left there. This is a 125 milliliter bottle. The actual reason I wanted to talk about L'Instant de Guerlain pour Homme today is I found a few days ago somebody was selling a full bottle in the old, you know, the old Art Deco packaging, which is so beautiful. I guess it's just nostalgia. I don't know. It's something I really can't see myself being without. However, I did know what I was buying. This is a bottle from 2014. 2014. So this will have been a bottle of the first reformulation. So what I have here in my older bottle is the old formulation of L'Instant de Guerlain, and this is the first reformulation. Now, I don't know how many other reformulations have been throughout the years, and I don't pretty much care because this is the first, you know, major one where the differences are the most, you know, obvious, I think. So what I'm going to do is maybe, because the other L'Instant de Guerlain bottles I have are the Listerine bottles, nothing else, the eau de toilette and also the eau de parfum. And I have smelled the eau de parfum and the new bottle, and it's fine, right? I mean, I guess it's the same scent. So what I want to do is maybe compare briefly as I can, maybe compare all of them, and maybe compare all of them to the, well, original, which is my 2013 bottle. So when we're talking about the old formulation of L'Instant de Guerlain pour Homme, the reason I started the video mentioning Samsara, well, other to, you know, to show off my bottle, is the sandalwood, right? This is a sandalwood patchouli at its heart. This is, I guess, what blossoms in the heart of L'Instant de Guerlain pour Homme. It's sandalwood and patchouli. L'Instant de Guerlain pour Homme is polished woods which are so smooth and so lustrous, and they have that worn sheen of time and use. I likened it to the smell of a wooden banister. The notes are, you know, lemon, anise, bergamot, grapefruit, jasmine, cacao, patchouli, sandalwood, tea, cedar, lavender, musk, hibiscus, and elemi, which is a resin. The notes are extensive for this. I don't think they do justice to this fragrance, you know, to the way this fragrance smells, because you won't get an idea just by looking on the notes. And this is why I want to maybe give you a more of a reductionist approach to the scent and just call it a sandalwood patchouli, because everything you need to know about L'Instant de Guerlain can indeed be reduced to these two ingredients, let's say. This was done by Béatrice Piquet, the regretted Béatrice Piquet, and I just have to say it's so interesting to me how Béatrice Piquet was able to, you know, understand the heart of what is Guerlain and to create a fragrance that's so at home, you know, so welcome. Back then, I had no idea about the other fragrances of Guerlain. I hadn't smelled Shalimar, I hadn't smelled Heritage. And these are the fragrances that are, you know, kind of closest in intention. And of course, Jicky. I admire the effort behind trying to create a fragrance and integrating it so well within the greater Guerlain feeling, you know, of the house. And I remember when I first smelled L'Instant de Guerlain pour Homme, I just loved the honey. And I should say it's everything related to bees, because you get beautiful honey in this, and you also get this impression of natural wax, which is something a few years ago I had the occasion to smell the inside of a beehive. It was wooden and done with fir tree. So the inside was very, very fragrant. It smelled of wax and aged fir wood. And instantly, you know, I was reminded of L'Instant de Guerlain pour Homme. We could just forget about the notes and I could tell you that this smells of candle wax. It's a bit smoky. It's very, very smooth. It's chocolatey. It's woody. It's very refined. It's just, you know, it's perfection to me. But I have to move on to what I guess is the next formulation. Now, the next formulation is, again, in this beautiful bottle, and it's a shame what just merely a year brings to the table. You know, that, as I said, this is 2013, this is 2014. It is the exact same bottle. The next year's bottles, the 2015 bottles, will already have mentioned here eau de toilette, and this is how you know the bottle is from 2015 onwards. And I think in 2016 or 2017, I can't remember correctly, they did away with this beautiful bottle altogether and they changed it to the Listerine. It's still good, right? You know, and it's still almost the same scent. And when you're smelling them side by side is where you get the main difference. And the main difference is this fragrance kind of breaks apart. It's not as held together as the old one. It's just more dusty, which is not to say bad. It just kind of feels dustier. And the cacao is more, I guess, prominent. Mind you, what I have here has been aged by time and the amount of oxygen that's entered the bottle. This is, you know, the first few seconds, you can definitely tell that this fragrance is turned, and there it is. Now it's settled, it's fine. Just the first few seconds. This is what you get for, you know, older fragrances with this amount. This is why I don't buy, if I saw this for sale somewhere, I wouldn't get it, because this amount of oxygen, not good. Either you're going to finish up the fragrance fast, be done with it, but just to store it and to keep it, it wouldn't be good. So this is patchouli, you know, fresh but woody and funky. It's that perfect blending of patchouli and sandalwood that's acrid. And as I said, it's got that funk that is no longer present here. It is no longer... This is not just polished woods anymore. The amount of vintage feel that you no longer get in fragrances anymore, with one exception, and we will talk about that exception in the next video. Stay tuned for that. It's very, very difficult to describe, and you will know what I'm talking about only if you've smelled the old version of the eau de toilette. And it's so strange to me that in the new version it will have to be the patchouli that takes on a different quality. I was expecting, you know, maybe the sandalwood to be more different, and it definitely is, but I really think it's the patchouli that makes the difference in the new version. But there's also good things to be said about the newest formulation. This one feels like a more modern take. The cacao is just, it is dustier, but it's also smoother. The whole fragrance feels like it's more polished than the old one. And I know I'm contradicting myself, because I did say that the old one felt smoother, and it is something, it's sort of a fallacy. The new one feels smoother than the old one. The old one feels rougher, but smooth by time, if that makes any sense to you. The new one just feels like something you can smell nowadays, although there's not many fragrances, you know, like L'Instant de Guerlain when I think about it. Francesca Bianchi's Sticky Fingers is another sandalwood patchouli that's just, you know, perfect. And I think for fans of L'Instant de Guerlain that want to try, you know, a more potent version, why not? Francesca Bianchi always takes her own spin on things. So let's move on to the Listerine Eau de Toilette, which is my least favorite. There are slight, very, very slight differences between this formulation and this one. I'm not 100% sure there have been formula changes when they changed them into this bottle, but the middle one, this one just feels like the middle road between the old and the Listerine. The main problem with this one, I think, is that it's not as long lasting. It's just so fleeting. It is the exact same scent, maybe even more, you know, it's zingier, it's more lemony, it feels diluted, if you know what I mean. The differences between this one and this one. This one feels more diluted, it feels fainter, it disappears on my skin. So this is why I tell people that if you miss the good old L'Instant de Guerlain, try the Eau de Parfum. The Eau de Parfum, the new version, is just perfect in my opinion. There's no problems with this. You know, it's still new L'Instant de Guerlain. It's still reformulated. It's still whatever. It's just closer to the fullness. I could say it compares even to this one. It's just fuller. It's more resinous. It's more ample. It's sweeter. It's less lemony. It is just a pleasure to wear. You can tell there's a bit of iris in this one as well, in the Eau de Parfum. This reminds me also of Le Parfum de 68, and I mentioned this one while speaking about Mon Guerlain. Eau de Parfum Intense, gorgeous patchouli there as well. when it comes down to it, I guess you could say the old formulation of L'Instant de Guerlain is just, you know, it's gone. There's nothing to be, you know, it's sad, it's bittersweet, but there's no reason to despair. You know, I think the Eau de Parfum version is still great. There has always been the pink elephant in the room. What about Lidge? What about L'Instant de Guerlain Eau Extrême? Well, I'm not that familiar with that one. I think I smelled it once or twice. But let me tell you, the differences between the Eau de Parfum and Lidge are there, you know, are there. But it is the same type of difference between any new formulation and the old. Because this one, the old formulation and L'Instant de Guerlain Eau Extrême, on the skin, and after some time, they do become the same scent. More or less. I mean, you can tell, and this is how this sandalwood shines in this one. It has to be on the skin. It is so good. It's so creamy and comforting, and there is something about sandalwood, you know. I don't know, I'm not that familiar with sandalwood, and I am working on a video about sandalwood, you know, in general, and maybe all the sandalwoody fragrances that I own and how I came to learn and understand sandalwood. But there's only one key component missing in this, and I hope I'll be able to get it. Won't tell you what it is. It feels almost tropical. It feels, this is cheesy, but it feels otherworldly, just like Samsara feels otherworldly. And this is why I had to, you know, maybe make this brief reminder that Samsara exists. And the old version of L'Instant de Guerlain used to contain this beautiful sandalwood patchouli. I still think it's the patchouli that's different, which doesn't make any sense. But I guess this was lightning in a bottle, this unique combination between this sandalwood and this beautiful patchouli that you just don't get in newer formulations. And as I said, although the main idea of the fragrance remains, you can still get the honey, you can still get the candle wax, you can still get the chocolatey cacao. There is something missing, you know. And as beautiful as the Eau de Parfum version is, and this one is indeed my favorite of the new formulations, I just don't think it compares to my old, you know, nearly done bottle, to which I should, you know, say goodbye, make my peace with it. And as I said, I am still glad I got myself a new, beautiful old bottle. It's still something that looks, you know, how could you say no to this bottle? Look at it. And it's not lost on me that this was supposed to be the counterpart for L'Instant de Guerlain, and this is a larger discussion, but those fragrances have nothing in common. And it is my firm belief that when you launch a Pour Homme version, there has to be a twist, you know, to the same formula. At least in my mind. You know, think of Obsession and Obsession for Men. They are quite similar. But, you know, it's just something that LVMH needed to launch. I don't think they knew how much of a fan base this fragrance would have over the years, or else maybe they wouldn't have messed with it so much. Oh well. So there you have it. This was my review / comparison / free talk about L'Instant de Guerlain Pour Homme and all the bottles that I own of it. I hope you found something useful out of this video. I know it was pretty rambly, but you know, it's too hot to film. So if you've got any other questions, do let me know in the comments. And until next time, remember, fragrance creates memories, and may yours be happy.